My dad convinced me I was mathematically blessed because I was born at exactly 11:11 a.m. on November 11th. He called me his lucky number kid and said the universe had given me special mathematical powers. Whenever I struggled with homework, he'd remind me about my birth time. The numbers chose you, he'd say, tapping his watch. Trust them. I started noticing 11:11 everywhere. Clocks, receipts, license plates. Dad would get excited every time. See? The universe is talking to you. I genuinely believed I had some cosmic connection to numbers. He'd frame my birth certificate next to this old newspaper from November 11th with headlines about rare numerical alignments. Look at all these 11s, he'd say. The day you arrived, the whole world was paying attention to numbers. In elementary school, I'd guess on math tests instead of actually studying. Pick lottery numbers for my mom based on number patterns I felt. Even chose my locker combination as 1111. My friends thought I was weird, but Dad encouraged it completely. Other kids have to work at math, he'd tell me. You just have to listen to what the numbers are telling you. I started getting confident about everything. Raising my hand first in math class, volunteering for academic competitions, taking advanced courses. Teachers thought I was naturally gifted. Really, I just believed I couldn't fail. My middle school math teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, actually called my parents for a conference. She was concerned I wasn't showing my work on tests, just writing down answers. Dad explained my gift, and she just nodded politely, probably thinking we were all insane. But the crazy thing is, I kept getting good grades, not because of cosmic powers, but because believing I was special made me actually pay attention to patterns and relationships between numbers. I'd spot shortcuts other kids missed. When I scored 1570 on my SATs without studying much, Dad said it proved his theory. Mathematical intuition, he called it. Pure cosmic connection. I got into MIT partly because of that score and my essay about being numerically gifted. My friends were jealous. My girlfriend Sarah thought it was cool dating someone with supernatural abilities. I felt like I was living in some kind of chosen one story. Even wore shirts with 1111 on them sometimes. At graduation, I gave a speech about following your unique gifts. Half the audience was crying. Dad was beaming in the front row, probably thinking his plan had worked perfectly. First week of college, my statistics professor, Dr. Chen, asked about our backgrounds. I proudly told the whole lecture hall about being born at 1111 and having special number powers. Some kids looked impressed. Others seemed skeptical. The professor paused, looked at me seriously and said, "That's fascinating. What time zone?" I'd never thought about that before. I said Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, that's where I was born. He nodded slowly. So you were actually born at 10:11 Central Time, where your parents lived before you were born, and 9:11 Mountain Time, and 8:11 Pacific Time. Which time zone gave you the powers? The whole class started laughing. Some girl behind me whispered, "Oh my God, he's serious?" I felt my face burning red, my stomach dropping. My roommate was recording on his phone. That night, I called Dad, confused and embarrassed. How had I never thought about time zones? There was a long silence on the phone. Finally, he said quietly, "You were such an anxious kid. Wouldn't even try new foods because you were scared of everything. Wouldn't raise your hand in class. Wouldn't make friends. I needed you to believe you were special so you'd actually take some risks." But the newspaper clipping, I started. "November 11th, 2001, he said. Day after your birthday. I just thought the date looked cool. Turns out my mathematical intuition was just confidence combined with pretty good pattern recognition and actually being decent at math when I wasn't paralyzed by fear. The weirdest part, even knowing it was all fake, I still make wishes at 11:11.